Hi, good morning everyone, and for being the first speaker after a break, but at least everyone's made their coffee calls already. General Wiggins made a comment this morning about the weather, so just to put what's outside in perspective, it's 13 degrees right now in Colorado Springs, so thank you all for the fantastic weather this morning. On behalf of Admiral Harnachek, the DLA Director, and the 27,000 people who work for DLA, thank you very much for giving me a chance to speak today. And I just want to talk just in very general terms about some of the things that DLA did during Hurricane Sandy, some of the lessons that we learned and some of our successes. 2 days before landfall, Admiral Harnachek had a VTC with all of the commanders, senior leaders within DLA for all of our field activities. And what he said was, you know, he's worked Katrina, he worked the tsunami, the earthquake response in Haiti, and he worked the tsunami response in Indonesia. And the point that he made was, we've got to get ahead of the requirements, we've got to get ahead of the game here. And the customers that DLA supports on a regular basis, this is their moment of need. DLA works regularly with FEMA, with our partners at the Army Corps of Engineers, with the National Guard, Title 10 Northcom. We support all of them every day. One of the lessons that we learned during the response to Hurricane Katrina was that the existing mission assignment process that DLA had to go through to support FEMA didn't work. It was taking us 3-4 days before we could get MREs moving out of a warehouse. So after Katrina, an agreement was made that allowed DLA to support FEMA directly and bypass the mission assignment process. What we saw during Sandy validated all of that. As I said, we support the Army Corps of Engineers and the National Guard as well. To put what we did in Sandy in perspective, our benchmark prior to that, as I think it is for everyone here, was Hurricane Katrina. $56 million worth of support DLA provided. During Hurricane Sandy, we're at $135 million. The biggest piece of that, I think the piece that DLA did during Sandy that was most obvious was the support we provided in fuel, energy. And we did that with a contract that we've had in place since just after Hurricane Katrina occurred. So one of the things that we looked at hard is how do we change the mindset within DLA to enable us to meet the requirements of a major natural disaster. What you see up here is the guidance that Admiral Harnachek put out right before Sandy came through. And the most important thing that he emphasized was, we've got to respond. We've got to bring our strategic effects to bear on the problem. And our customers are FEMA, Army Corps of Engineers, National Guard, the DoD response. And when we do that, we bring those strategic effects to bear by not waiting. And his guidance was, he'll support anybody 100% if we overreact. If we do something preemptively that ends up not being a requirement. But everybody who waits until the requirement is identified at 100%, they're going to have some explaining to do. And there was some explaining to do. Because our process that we've used in the past hasn't necessarily supported this get ahead of the requirement. He focused a lot of effort on getting things done, not how they get done. He focused a lot of effort on breaking processes that don't work, that don't support that immediate requirement for strategic effect. And he truly did push DLA very, very hard. I think that as an agency, we got, in some ways, a little out of our comfort area, because our comfort area is working really within the uniformed services, supporting Afghanistan, supporting Iraq, supporting those customers that we do every day. When you're working in this kind of environment, you're having to step around a lot of those comfort areas. And that's what he was demanding. Of course, it makes it a whole lot easier when the president says, cut through the red tape and make it happen. Everything that the director was pushing the agency to do ties it perfectly with what's at the bottom. And that is the requirement within the NORAD-NORTHCOM J4. That's where I work. And that is, lean forward, get ahead of the requirement, and never late to meet. Bring those strategic effects to bear. These are some of the areas where we provide support. This is something that DLA has not done before. During Sandy, it was very much, we bring in the product, we hand it over to FEMA, FEMA does their thing with it. So that was during Katrina. During Sandy, we were delivering product right at the point of need. The operations that we did with the Foster Fuels contract, moving 9.1 million gallons of fuel, 5 of that was heating oil. That is unprecedented for DLA. And it worked, it was successful. DLA's support to FEMA and the Army Corps was very successful. And I submit that it is due in large part because of that responsiveness requirement and that bringing the strategic effects to bear. So, the question now that I think as a community that we have to look at is Sandy reflective of the way our response is going to be done in the future? We bypassed a lot of processes, we broke a lot of new ground, so is what happened at the end of October, early November, is that the way our mindset needs to be? Or are we going to focus on a more structured, rigid process that we bend as we need to? I'd argue that the precedent has been set, and what we saw and did during Sandy is the way of the future. The requirement that was difficult for DLA, and I think it was difficult for a lot of us here, was the President and the SecDef and General Jacoby, who said, make it happen, cut through the red tape. I'd say from a DLA perspective, that's fantastic, we did that, but that directive came with no funding associated with it. So I know within DLA and within OSD, that's an area we're still trying to clear up. Looking forward, I don't see any of that changing. And from my perspective at NORTHCOM, I think that's the way it's going to be. I think we're going to see, from a DLA perspective, a whole lot more capabilities pushed forward, personnel pushed forward. We're going to have touch points at all the various nodes where we have operations going on. DLA's ability to bring in the private sector, I think, is going to be a big operational requirement for us in the future. We do that very well in coordination with the Army Corps of Engineers. GSA has a part of that, and so does the ability, just on a general contracting basis, to go out and do that. That is the key to our success. From a DLA perspective, we're going to work very hard from here on to improve and to sharpen our ability, our experience, and our processes. Working with FEMA, as we do all the time, with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the National Guard, with DOD, branching out even further, looking at the Department of Health and Human Services, at the Coast Guard. Big focus area there. And right now, DLA is doing a they're calling it a break glass assessment. So during Sandy, we deployed 275 odd fuel trucks. So what we're looking at now is, what if we have to deploy 2,000 to 2,500? What if we look at something truly catastrophic like the New Madrid? What can DLA bring in there, and what's the break point in the different capabilities that we have? Where do we tap out? And if and when we do tap out, what is the next option? So I see that as as resources that can be integrated into our planning in the future. And this is all as a result, I think, of our collective success during Hurricane Sandy. And the biggest thing we're going to work on is our partnership with the 167th Theater Sustainment Command. They're a huge, huge part of DLA's success, and DLA is a big part of their success. And to improve not only our niche capabilities within the Army Corps, within GSA, within FEMA, Health and Human Services, but how do we focus on more effectively and efficiently bringing our collective capabilities to bear on those issues that perhaps we cannot address more specifically in the current process, if that makes sense. So that's the way ahead. I'm sorry I only have a couple slides. I can certainly go on, but if anybody has any questions, that's all I have time for you today.